So before we start programming the robot and get going, what I'm going to do for this one, I'm going to pretend as if I was a student assigned 4B. So here's 4B start. And what I'm going to need to do with this project is, I'm going to need to first program it to go straight forward and stop exactly with the axles right over this first vertex of the turn. Then I'm going to have to program a turn to go exactly this far, not this far or not less, but exactly so it's lined up with this line. Then program it to go forward. Program another turn to come back this way, another forward block, one more turn, and then finally we'll have it move forward until it goes right here and stops on the line. I'm going to make sure that my robot is turned on and plugged into the USB mini port right on the back here, and that the other end of this cord is plugged into my computer. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to go to the Windows Start menu and type in EV3, and we're going to want to open up this program that we've installed, Lego Mindstorms Education EV3. Now that our software is loaded up, I'm going to go up here to the corner and I'm going to press Add Project. And each project is kind of like a folder that can contain any number of programs in it. I just want one program, so what I'm going to do is double click right here and I'm going to name it Table 4B because that was what I was assigned. And then I'm going to go up here to Files, Save Project As, and wherever you want to save this thing, I'm going to save mine as Blue Maze. So I have a project named Blue Maze and it says Table 4B. So now I'm ready to start programming. Now the first thing you need to do is when you start this program, we want to press the button to start the program and give it a second for us to get our finger out of the way. So I'm going to put out a wait block. If you look down here, we have the second one over is some control blocks, and I want to use the wait block, and I want to wait for time of 1 second. That should be plenty for me to just get my hand out of the way. As a matter of fact, between each one we do, each move block, we're going to have it pause for a second for it to kind of settle so it can get more accurate movement. Now what you're going to do is go back to this first menu, and the third one over, it says Move Steering. So I'm going to drag this right out here. And let's explain what all these things do. First of all, on for rotations. For this project, I want you to use on for seconds for everything that you do. So we're going to go down here and select on for seconds. Now the second thing, since we're just going to model that first line and see how far that is, I want to keep this at 0. If I turn it a little bit to the left, it'll make a slow arcing turn to the left. A little to the right will make a slow curved turn to the right. In this project, we're only going to use 0 for straight ahead, -100 for a super sharp turn, or +100 for a sharp turn. We don't want those slow lagging turns. So I'm going to switch it back to 0 to go straight ahead. And for accuracy's sake, I'm going to turn the speed down to 20. You should use 20 for all your movement blocks on this project. Because remember, speed is the enemy of accuracy. For example, if I ask you to run across the football field and stop with your toes exactly on the goal line without going over at all, it would be much easier for you to do that if you were walking slowly than if you were sprinting at full speed. The same thing's true for these robots, that speed can really mess up the accuracy of things. So we're down to 20. Now for the time, remember we're going time in seconds. I don't know yet. I'm going to take a wild guess, and my guess is going to be, let's say 4.5, 4.5 seconds. That's just a guess. Let's see how that works. So the next thing you're going to do is just press the download button right over here. And you can see that we have a notification noise, and I'm going to unplug this and we're going to go back to the table. Let's go see how this worked. Go down to my program and press go. Ooh, so my guess was probably too far. So let's take a look. If we look at this, it looks like we got an extra third or so on there. I'm going to tune this back. I'm going to go back down to 3 seconds and see if that lines up. So we've plugged our robot back in and it's still on, so it's connected. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go up. Changing something is really easy. And by the way, do you notice how I haven't put all those other things out, those turns that we're going to do in the future? We want to work on one thing at a time. Get one thing turned up, the straightaway tuned up, then we'll work on the next turn, then we'll work on the next straightaway. Just one thing at a time. So I'm going to change that back down to my new guess of 3. Hey, you're not failing if you're guessing and getting it wrong. Every time, though, you should get a little bit closer. Okay, our new guess of 3. Let's see how it works. Looks pretty darn good. We're almost right over the middle of that. So this is looking perfect. Now what we have to do is we have to program it. We're going to wait a second for it to settle so we get more accurate movement. Then we're going to have it turn. If I do the turn to exactly right, the robot will end up here facing the exact direction of this second line. If I do too much, if I put too many seconds, it's going to go past that. If I do too little of a turn, it's going to go here and go not enough. So we're going to turn, but remember what we're not going to do is we're not going to make slow arcing turns. We're going to make a turn where it turns all together in place. And we want it to face perfectly in this direction. Okay, so to get this turnout, first we want to put another weight block in to let things settle down for a second after it gets done moving on the straightaway. And we're going to use another move steering block. So I like this project because it's just the first thing you do. You don't have to worry about a lot of different things, just the weight block and the move steering block. So I'm going to turn it to seconds again. That's very important to do. And I'm going to turn it down to 20% for our speed. Now look at this. The turn, we need to go all the way left or all the way right. So in this case, I'm taking a left turn, so negative 100. You should never, on this project, you should never use negative 41 or positive 48 or 69. You shouldn't use those because those will make slow arcing turns. We want to turn sharp in place and then do another one to go straight forward. So I'm going to go negative 100 for all the way left, 20 for the speed, and my guess, I'm just going to try, let's try out 1 second and let's see how that works. Okay, let's give it a try. Uh-oh. So if you look at it, it looks like we needed to turn here, and mine ended up going all the way to here. So it went past its goal and went even further, and I'm thinking it went almost twice as much as we should have had. So let's go back and let's change that, and let's give it a try at 0.5 seconds instead of 1 full second. That'll cut it in half. Okay, so we need to revise this. Everything else is good to go. We just need to change this to 0.5. By the way, if your robot turns the entirely wrong direction, you just need to flop these 2 wires in the back, B and C, and switch those out with one another, and it will turn the correct direction. Okay, so here it is. Let's download it, and let's go give it a try. Okay, let's try the 0.5 second turn. Okay, so if you look at it, a little bit off. I'm going to change that and give it a try at 0.4 seconds. 0.4. Let's go see how that works. So if we look at this, if I went forward with this, that is straight exactly on that line. That's what we want. Whoops. So now the next phase, we're going to put in another weight block now that we have our turn right, and then we're going to tune it to go exactly this distance. Before we go back and do that next one, it's important to notice that this distance here and this distance are almost the same. It's just this one's a little bit longer. So we can use kind of our success in the past here to get this one tuned up correctly. Okay, remember before adding another forward block, we want to make sure that we let things settle down and stop for a second. So we're going to put in a wait for time. Then I'm going to put out another steering block. Now this one's going to be very similar to the first one, which was also straight. So we're going to go time for seconds, 0 for going straight ahead. We're going to change our speed to 20 again. And remember our first one had a distance of 3, and we figured out that this other one's a little bit longer. So I'm going to change that one, and I'm going to try 3.3, just a little bit longer than 3. Okay, so let's give that a try. Ooh, so it looks like 3.3 wasn't quite enough. All right, so let's modify that value to 3.5. So that time looks like a lot better results. And so from here out, I'm not going to show you all the details because programming the next turn and the next straightaway, the turn and the straightaway are going to be identical. Instead, I'll fast forward after I'm done and show you what the finished result will look like. So after everything's finished and you get it all right, it should look something like this. Okay, so let's go back to the computer, and there's a couple other things now that we're done with the project I wanted to show you guys in the programming software that I did. So what you can see here, this is the final results of what I did. I went back and actually changed a few things. So this is a constant revision and tuning. Now, one of the things that I'm sure is going to come up, one of the questions is, why is this one line and this is another line? Look, this is basically the same as if you put it all here, but if you put it all in one line, it's going to extend until it goes off the screen and you have to scroll back and forth to view it. So if you need to add more code but you don't want to go off of the screen, another option, sure, you could do that, but if, like, let's say I wanted to add more after this, I don't need to because I'm done with it, but if I wanted to, I could put one here for a wait block. Let's say I want another move block. I can put the move block down here, see how it goes, it gets kind of lightened up. You can't see it very well. What you do is you take this from this last one and you can put a connector down here, and then you don't have to go and keep scrolling left and right on one big line of code. You can go to next line or the next line or whatever. So you could do that as many times as you want. It's like if I want to, even you could do something like this even if you want to, right? And anyways, so to delete those, just click them and press the delete button on your keyboard. I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and good luck with your tables that you're doing, your blue mazes.